Ouais, c'est une déception immense.
France came into this World Cup with what looked like one of the scariest attacking groups ever put together. Kylian Mbappé, Ousmane Dembélé, Mikel Olise, and Bradley Barcola. They had scored 16 goals in just 6 games, and on paper, they looked impossible to stop. Most people expected them to tear through every defense they faced. So how did a team packed with that much firepower reach a World Cup semifinal and end up creating almost nothing? Spain did much more than beat France on Tuesday night in Dallas. They completely outplayed them. They made one of the strongest attacking units in world football look out of sync, like they had barely played together before. But after the final whistle, the attention quickly shifted away from Spain's brilliant performance. Instead of quietly accepting the loss, France exploded with frustration and pointed straight at the referee. FIFA had chosen to handle the semifinal. France's manager stepped up to the podium and openly questioned whether the referee was even the right person for a match this big. The team argued over the penalty decision and suggested several other calls had gone against them. Just like that, the conversation changed. Instead of everyone talking about Spain's incredible display, people were suddenly asking whether France had been treated unfairly on the biggest stage of their tournament. So what really happened? Did France have a real reason to complain, or was this simply an excuse after a disappointing performance? Let's break it all down. First, we have to look at the football itself, because that tells a huge part of the story. Spain earned a 2-0 win, and if anything, that scoreline was kind to France. Spain controlled the match from start to finish and delivered a complete masterclass.
Absolute domination from Spain. You cannot say enough about how Spain tactically dominated that game from minute 1 to minute 97 or whenever it ended. That is an absolute masterclass from Spain.
Mikel Oyarzabal calmly buried a first-half penalty. Pedro Porro added another goal. And from the opening whistle to the final one, Spain completely controlled everything. They controlled the ball, dictated the pace, and never looked like they were losing their grip on the match. Right in the middle of it all was Rodri, looking every bit like the Ballon d'Or winner people remembered before his ACL injury. He ran the game with so much confidence that it almost looked effortless. Spain have now stretched their unbeaten run to 37 matches since March 2024, winning the European Championship along the way. Their coach boldly called them the best team in the world. And based on this performance, it is hard to make a strong case against that. France entered the tournament as many people's favorites, but they never found any real rhythm. Their dangerous attack was kept quiet for almost the entire night. Mbappe's biggest chance came from a free kick that sailed well over the crossbar, and that was pretty much the story of France's attack. The struggles were not limited to one player. They were shared across the entire front line. Dembélé, who can be almost impossible to stop when he is at his best, never found a way into the game. Olise, one of the tournament's most creative players, rarely got the ball in areas where he could make a difference. Doué and Barcola showed a few bright moments, but they never turned them into real danger. This was the same attacking group that had caused huge problems for 5 straight opponents. Yet Spain made them look surprisingly ordinary. The reason was simple. Spain kept possession for long stretches and gave France very few opportunities to attack.
I think it was difficult for us because tactically we had a plan to go for them under pressure, to go 1 against 1, to don't let them lead the tempo of the game, to don't let them play in the way they want to play, because of course it's a team who love to have the control of the game, the control of the ball, and that's what we let them do.
It is hard to look dangerous when you spend most of the match chasing the ball, and that is exactly the position Spain forced France into. Rodri and Fabián Ruiz completely took control of the midfield, passing the ball around France with confidence and making it incredibly difficult for anyone to get close. Every time France managed to win possession, they seemed to give it right back. Spain did not need flashy moments or non-stop attacks. They simply kept the ball, controlled the pace, and played to their biggest strength. Right now, few teams in world football can match Spain when it comes to keeping possession. But after the match, France wanted the spotlight on something else entirely, the penalty decision. In the first half, with the score still 0-0, Spain sent a cross into the French penalty area. Lucas Digne turned to clear the ball, spun around, and his boot made contact with Lamine Yamal, who had rushed in from behind him. Referee Iván Barton from El Salvador immediately pointed to the penalty spot. Oyarzabal stepped up, converted the chance, and France fell behind for the first time in the entire tournament. After the final whistle, manager Didier Deschamps made it clear he was unhappy. Speaking to reporters, he repeatedly questioned whether the referee was the right choice for such a massive match. He also pointed to other moments that, in his view, did not go France's way, and suggested several decisions had worked against his team. Just like that, the referee became one of the biggest talking points after the semifinal. So was France's frustration justified? Let's look at the penalty itself before jumping to conclusions. Based on the laws of the game,
dominate a game by controlling the ball, controlling the parts of the field where the game is played, pressing high up the field, counter-pressing after you lose the ball, and completely constricting, in my opinion, the best attack that we have ever seen in the World Cup. And Spain completely rendered them totally lifeless. And so I think absolutely two things can be true in this moment with France and Spain, that the Spanish national team dominated to such an extent defensively that they deserve credit, and also that the French attacking players, these world-class players, 3 of the top 6 or 7 attacking players in the world, completely didn't show up.
there was clear contact inside the penalty area involving an attacking player after the ball had been played. That is why the referee awarded the penalty. Some fans may feel the decision was tough, but whether it was harsh is a different question entirely. Was the penalty a little tough? You could certainly make that argument. Lamine Yamal did not have complete control of the ball, and Lucas Digne was clearly trying to make a clearance rather than foul an opponent. Even so, the referee's decision matched the current interpretation of the laws of the game. What makes this even more interesting is that France defender Maxence Lacroix, one of the few players who spoke after the match, did not claim the decision was incorrect. Instead, he simply said, "I think it should have been reviewed." That was the main complaint after the match, a decision that was technically supported by the rules, but that some people believed could have benefited from another look. More importantly, it happened early in the game while the score was still 0-0. It did not erase a dominant French performance or stop them from controlling the match. From the opening whistle to the final one, Spain were the stronger side and looked more comfortable in almost every area of the pitch. That is why so much attention turned toward Didier Deschamps' comments after the final whistle. While questioning the referee's performance, he also admitted something important. He acknowledged that France had fallen short and said his team was second best against an opponent that executed its game plan extremely well. Those comments painted a more complete picture of what happened on the field. He even said, "I don't want to sound like a crybaby," before continuing to criticize the officiating. That quote quickly caught people's attention because it stood out during his post-match remarks. At the end of the day, when a team spends most of the match being outplayed and struggles to create clear chances,
and they weren't sharp, they weren't good enough, they were indecisive, they were sloppy. I mean, any adjective that you want to choose to describe that performance from France, which was completely shocking. It was almost impossible to predict that they would be so poor and they would be so inefficient in the attack, while you have to give credit to Spain for the way that they moved, the way that they pressed, the way that they counter-pressed, their organization behind the ball. It's absolutely no excuse for the French attackers to be as disjointed as they were. It was all hero ball, 1v1. There was no cohesion in the attack.
many observers will naturally focus more on the performance itself than on a single refereeing decision. Many people saw the referee discussion as a distraction rather than the main reason for the result. Spain's coach, Luis de la Fuente, summed it up with one sharp comment: "When things don't go our way, we can always find some excuse." That remark quickly added even more attention to the debate surrounding the semifinal. Then another point entered the conversation. Spain midfielder Rodri argued that Lamine Yamal had been brought down again and again without many fouls being called. As Rodri put it, there were 10 or 15 fouls where the kid goes to the ground. His comments suggested that if anyone felt frustrated by the officiating, Spain believed they had their own reasons to feel that way. There was also another moment that made the situation less one-sided than some people claimed. Late in the first half, referee Iván Barton overturned a decision after Ousmane Dembélé went down near the edge of Spain's penalty area. Despite protests from several Spanish players, the referee did not award the foul. Moments like that showed that decisions during the match did not consistently favor one team over the other. That is why the idea that the referee was against France from start to finish became difficult to support. Yes, some fans questioned FIFA's decision to appoint a CONCACAF referee for such a massive semifinal, and those discussions started before the match even kicked off.
Before that final, there was a debate in France. If France didn't win that World Cup, would it be a failure or a deception? And I would have gone, say, if you play a good game, if you give 100% and you hit the post 3 times and you lose 1-0 on penalty shootout, it can be a deception. But today, it's both of them, because that was a failure. That game wasn't a good game. As you said, Spain deserved 100% to win. We didn't see anything coming from France being good. I think we can't find any chances that they could score. Maybe the Doué at when Unai Simon stopped
But questions about an appointment are very different from claiming the result was decided by the officiating. A penalty that matched the interpretation of the rules in the 19th minute does not fully explain why a team with so much attacking talent struggled to create clear chances throughout the game. But the biggest surprise came after the final whistle, and it had nothing to do with the referee. While Didier Deschamps was discussing the officiating, France captain Kylian Mbappé was talking about something completely different. Standing in front of the cameras, he openly criticized the way the team had been set up and said France had been outnumbered in midfield. Suddenly, the conversation was no longer just about refereeing, it was also about whether France's own tactics had played a major role in the defeat. We were 3 against 2 in midfield. That was Kylian Mbappe's assessment after the semi-final. He explained that Spain's Rodri and Fabián Ruiz were given far too much space and too much time on the ball. In his view, France should have matched them man for man to stop Spain from building attacks so comfortably. Those comments immediately caught attention because they pointed directly at the tactical battle in midfield. Think about what that meant. France's captain was not speaking behind closed doors or waiting until emotions had settled. Just moments after one of the biggest matches of the tournament, he publicly suggested that the team's approach had not worked. It became one of the biggest talking points after the defeat because the captain and the manager appeared to be focusing on completely different explanations for what had gone wrong. What made the contrast even more striking was that Mbappé also accepted responsibility for the performance. Alongside his comments about the tactics, he admitted France had not been good enough technically.
Shot, but otherwise, Spain were above France everywhere, and that's why you want to say hat off to the Spanish team. And you go back, disappointed, but you have to learn your lesson. It's hard. The World Cup is hard because you don't need to run fast, at the beginning if you slow down around very close to the final, and it's what happened to the French team.
He said the team failed to play the football they had planned, both technically and tactically, and made it clear that performances like that are not enough to win a World Cup semifinal. Those were direct and honest remarks about how the match unfolded. That is why the post-match reaction became such a major story. While Didier Deschamps focused much of the discussion on the officiating, Mbappé spoke mainly about France's own display. The two explanations painted very different pictures of the defeat, and that contrast quickly became one of the biggest debates surrounding the semifinal. At the end of the day, many observers felt the performance on the pitch remained the biggest factor in the result. Then another voice added even more confusion to the story. After watching France lose 2-0, Rayan Cherki still insisted that France were the better team than Spain. That comment immediately stood out because it painted a completely different picture from what most people had just watched unfold on the pitch. Looking at the reactions afterward, it was clear there was no single message coming from the France camp. Didier Deschamps questioned the officiating, Kylian Mbappé focused on the team's tactics and performance, and Cherki argued that France were still the stronger side despite the result. 3 different viewpoints, 3 very different explanations, and plenty for fans and analysts to debate after the final whistle. That was what made the aftermath almost as memorable as the match itself. Losing a World Cup semifinal can happen to any great team, but when a squad filled with so much talent leaves the stadium with several different explanations for the defeat, it naturally raises questions about unity and direction. Adding to that, many France players did not stop to speak with the media after the match, a decision that attracted even more attention.
I think Spain outclassed France, basically. France did not really show up tonight. I'm really disappointed, but yeah, at the end of the day, you know, anything can happen in football, and even if, as I said previously, they were my 2 big favorites for the title.
And reports that disciplinary fines could follow. So if the referee was not the biggest reason France lost, what was? The answer was far less dramatic than the post-match headline suggested. It came down to tactics and control in midfield. Ironically, Mbappe's own comments pointed to the issue. France lined up with enormous attacking talent, but behind that front line, Aurélien Tchouaméni and Adrien Rabiot often found themselves outnumbered against Spain's 3-man midfield. That gave Rodri, Fabián Ruiz, and their teammates the space to control possession, dictate the tempo, and keep France chasing the game for long stretches. For 5 straight matches, France's incredible attacking quality covered up some of the balance issues in the team because their earlier opponents could not fully take advantage of them. But Spain were a completely different challenge. They are one of the best possession teams in world football, and once they settled into the match, they controlled the ball for long stretches and made France work without it. That control exposed several problems. France's fullbacks came under constant pressure, and the dangerous front line that had looked so unstoppable earlier in the tournament found itself spending far more time defending than attacking. Without regular possession, it became much harder for players like Mbappé.
I believe Spain played a great game. Technically fantastic. They controlled the midfield. Rodri, Olmo, they played a great game, and you know, just credit to them. And yeah, it's a tough moment for French people because we had so much expectations and maybe too much. But that's the beauty of the game, you know.
Dembélé, Olise, and Barcola to make the impact fans had become used to seeing. The questions about whether France relied too heavily on its attacking talent quickly returned once they faced an opponent capable of dominating the midfield. In the end, many observers felt the match was decided in the center of the pitch rather than by the penalty decision. That idea also matched Mbappe's own comments after the game when he pointed to Spain's numerical advantage in midfield. If that assessment is accurate, it naturally leads to questions about the tactical approach and whether France could have adjusted differently against a team with Spain's strengths. That is why the post-match debate became so intense. While Didier Deschamps highlighted the officiating as one part of the discussion, many analysts focused instead on France's setup and Spain's control of the midfield. For a coach with Deschamps' experience, including leading France to the 2018 World Cup title, the tactical decisions and the team's overall performance became just as important, if not more important, than any individual refereeing call. The defeat also felt like the closing chapter of an era, and that made it even more painful. This was Didier Deschamps' final major tournament as France manager, with Zinedine Zidane widely expected to take over after him. Instead of ending his remarkable run with another World Cup final, Deschamps now faces a third-place playoff in Miami on Saturday, a match few teams ever hope to play as the final stop in a tournament. After 14 years in charge and a World Cup title in 2018, it was an unexpected ending to one of the most successful coaching careers in French football history. Rather than celebrating another shot at the trophy, much of the conversation centered on the referee and a penalty decision that many observers believed was supported by the laws of the game. That outcome has only added more debate about how Deschamps' time in charge will be remembered. Questions are now likely to continue for months. Throughout his time as manager, Deschamps was often praised for delivering results, but also criticized by some for taking a cautious, tactical approach. Against Spain, many analysts felt France ran into a team with a clearer identity, stronger control of the midfield, and a game plan that was executed almost perfectly. Instead of being overwhelmed by France's star attackers, Spain found a way to limit their influence from the very beginning. Meanwhile, Spain move on to the World Cup final at MetLife Stadium on Sunday. Now just one victory away from lifting another world title. Based on this performance, they will head into the final full of confidence, no matter who stands across from them. Luis de la Fuente captured the difference between the two sides with one memorable quote: "They are a team, and when they play like a team, they're unbeatable." That line quickly became one of the biggest talking points after the semifinal. France may have arrived with more superstar names, but on this night, Spain looked like the stronger collective unit. And that teamwork was enough to send the tournament favorites home. So in the end, this was not a VAR scandal, no matter how much attention the refereeing debate received after the match. The bigger story was that one of the most talented attacking teams in world football struggled to create meaningful chances in a World Cup semifinal against a Spain side that controlled the game from start to finish. Much of the post-match discussion focused on the referee, but for many observers, France's tactical struggles and Spain's midfield dominance were the biggest reasons behind the result. Now it's your turn. Do you think Didier Deschamps was right to question the officiating, or should the focus stay on France's performance and tactical approach? Share your thoughts in the comments because this debate is far from over. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with other football fans so they can join the discussion too. Thanks for watching, and don't miss our coverage of the World Cup final because it's shaping up to be an unforgettable match. See you in the next one.